Hello everyone, my name is Blessing and this is the gorgeous Folashade, and together we welcome you to Lighthouse. It's a beautiful new episode and we are happy to be here with you today. Our hope is that today we're going to have amazing conversations around restoring relationships. We've spoken about forgiveness, healing in our previous videos, and we're waiting for you. Just go refresh and hear what we have to say, and don't forget to drop your comments. But today our focus is on restoring relationships. And why are we discussing that? Why is it so important? It's important because even in the scriptures say it clearly that we should, if you've offended someone, you have to go back from a place of worship and go and seek forgiveness and go back and restore that relationship. So the first beginning, reconciliation. So it means that restoring relationships speak to forgiveness, it speaks to reconciliation, it speaks to restitution, it speaks to rebuilding trust. These are quite key elements of restoring broken relationships. And why do you think it's important? Because we don't discard people just like that. Yeah, we forgive, we set boundaries, we honor their rules in our lives, and we take the first step. Or what do you think about that?
Yes, I think is something that is worth talking about because anything that is pointed out in scripture, like you mentioned, that means it's important for us to really talk about it and pay attention to it. So, Jesus himself, like, pointed it out that even if we're in the house of worship, that we should go back and reconcile. And why is this important? It's because we as believers, we don't just look at our relationships with people just based on face value. We look at things from the grand scheme of things in terms of destiny, purpose, assignment. So because you have wronged me this one time does not mean that I should discard you and that you're no longer important, in the grand scheme of things in terms of the assignment that God has for me, in terms of my purpose, in terms of my vision. And as a believer as well, even if I will not be friends with you and for us to be close, I am supposed to be at peace with all men. So it's important for me to be the one to take the first step as far as reconciliation and restoring broken relationships is concerned.
Yes. Imagine having to take the first step. That means that you have to set aside your pride. So
Yes.
pride shouldn't be found.
There's an element of humility.
So there's humility there in beginning that relationship, because you have to take the initiative first. What that means is that at that point in time, your solution, what you are checking for, is not like a solution to the problem itself. You are more focused on reconciliation. You are more focused on restitution if need be. And you can only do that if you sympathize with the other person's view. We all see things from different points of view. I and Shadi, we've had times like that, and we've seen one matter from different points of view. But it just takes one person willing to communicate displeasure, and then one person willing to respond with a soft answer to turn away wrath that brings about reconciliation between both. So you have to focus on that person's feelings, the hurt that situation had inspired. So when we're talking about restoring relationship, it's not even compulsory that the problem is solved. So we can have differing opinions on an issue, but we're able to reconcile because we are dealing with the feelings of one another.
Very right. Yeah. And I think I like the fact that you mentioned expression of displeasure, because sometimes, and the fact that you said that we need to respect the other person's feelings, because I've come to realize that sometimes some of us, maybe because of how we grew up, and this still takes back to some of our previous conversations on how our experiences affect our actions. We take an expression of displeasure to mean anger. So sometimes the person has just expressed how they feel about something. It doesn't mean that they're angry. So, but at the same time, the other person does not know a better way to react, to what you have expressed. So that is the reason why I think the point you just raised is very important, that we're able to respect each other's feelings. That, okay, because we have different backgrounds, differing opinions, this person's feelings are valid.
Yeah.
Right. And I can humble myself, say, whilst I don't see things from your point of view, but I would want to reconcile, amend our broken relationship.
Yeah.
So that point is very
Yeah, and that leads to compromise. It means that there's a need to compromise when having these conversations. You need to cooperate with each other as much as possible. If the Bible is telling us that we should be at peace with all men, it tells us that it's important that as at that point in time, we're not looking at us being right or whether we are not right, whether we are offended or we are the offendee, but we are looking into this resolution and we're looking into reconciliation in this purpose. So we need to consider the other person's point of view. We need to sympathize. We need to also own our own actions and contribution towards how we have contributed to that space. If you do not own your own action and contribution to that situation, there's a possibility that you end up repeating it.
Exactly. My point is that you yourself need to do an evaluation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when we have a broken relationship, it's because we feel hurt, yes, but of course the other person feels hurt as well. But there's something, there's a reason why you feel the way you feel, right? So you need to evaluate yourself because sometimes it might just be because of the state of your heart that you took offense in the first place. There can be that feeling of, oh, I'm right, and I'm right. And it also points to what you've mentioned, that humility is very important when we are making broken relationships. I want to be humble to say, okay, what if this issue is coming from me, from my point of view, or from my stand? And then that evaluation is what will lead me to the place of humility to actually want to restore that relationship.
Yeah, because you cannot actually restore a relationship if you are portioning blame. You need to own yours, you need to own theirs. There's no place to apportion blame here. It is all about taking actions. The scripture says that a soft answer turns away wrath. It's the wise speak from with persuasive words. It's because it's important that it is not about blame at this time, but it's about the fact that we are one together in fellowship. And despite differing opinions, we've been called to fellowship with one another. So we must ensure that no matter what we are doing around our relationships, that there is always a focus on restoration.
And I also want to mention the fact that the ability to be able to mend broken relationships is actually what helps us to build healthy relationships. That's actually one episode that we've had in this podcast. If you have not listened to it, please go back and check it out. If you're not able to mend broken relationships, maybe you had an issue, it might affect the way you build relationships, either with your husband, friend, colleagues, or everybody. So this is an ongoing life process that we must all learn. Whether people we love, people we meet along the way, because we don't all live in silos or in isolation. People will always wrong us. And we don't love people or reconcile with them because they're lovable. We do it because we have been instructed to love, to forgive, and to be at peace with all men.
And in conclusion leads us to what we need to do. It means that it is important that in the story relationships that we talk to, so that you know what to do at time, who to bring in where needed, and to ensure that at the end of the day, fellowship is restored. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We would like an amazing discourse.
Yeah, so we would like to read your comments and we want you to share this video, this link, with as many people as you can. Do not forget to subscribe because we want to ensure that more people are reached with the gospel of Christ and with this message of healing and hope. We hope to see you soon in our next episode.
Thank you.
Bye.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Lighthouse Podcast.
Subscribe. Please. The button is not for fans.
Share, comment, interact with us.
Subscribe.